Hello, 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 my fellow game warriors. Today is a difficult day. I'm unaware if you know it or not, but right now, approximately 10,000 miles away from Earth, a meteor is heading on a collision course straight towards the planet. So far, I really seem to be the only person on YouTube aware of what is happening. Now, I'm telling you this right now. When it strikes, life on the planet will cease to exist. There's no bunker that will protect you. You're not going to be able to catch a ride on a rocket into space. We are going to die, and there's nothing we can do about it. Only a select few in the United States government know anything about it. They used the government shutdown to hide the secret meetings as they discussed ways to try and save the planet, to stop the meteor. But it was to no avail. The meteor is going to fall within 24 hours, and everyone on the planet's going to die. Now, of course, everything I just said was fictitious. Nothing about that was true, at least as far as I know. The world is going to continue on fine. But for Final Thought Friday, I decided to do a good video for you guys over a topic that I have came across. Was a question. I've came across this question a week or two back, and the question was, if you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? I've came across this in a picture site that I go to, as well as on a podcast that I listen to, and that question again was, if you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? Now, I said an asteroid just to have some dramatic effect for the commentary, to get that attention getter for you guys, but it can be anything in 24 hours. You may have a heart attack or die from a lethal poison or something less gruesome, such as simply passing out and not waking up. But regardless of what is the cause of death, I really thought to myself, if I had 24 hours to live, what would I do? Yeah, I was looking at other people's responses and everything else, and because this is Final Thought Friday, I really wanted to go in and explore this topic a little bit more. Before I give you my own opinion, I wanted to know what other people said, so I did search through Google for this question, as well as the picture sites that I go to that have the memes and everything else, and I picked out the responses, not necessarily that are the most original, but the topics that I found the most often, and ones that I just particularly enjoyed. Now, these here, I picked out 10, and they're in no particular order, but these are the 10 that were seen most of the time. So, number 1 is to call up everyone you know and say your final words to them. People would do that. That would be one of the things they do in their final 24 hours. They would call up all their friends and family, and they would say their final words to them. Number 2 was, I would eat like there is no tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow. I did enjoy that one as well. Number 3 was, people said that they would kill some people that they hate. The 4th, they would pray and make good with God however they could. Number 5, a lot of people said that they were going to commit suicide. A lot of people said, well, if I have 24 hours to live, what's the point? Just end it now. So people said commit suicide. Number 6 was, people said they'd want to commit all the crimes that they could. They'd steal a car, rob a bank, go out here, beat people up. They'd do all the crimes that they'd want to commit. Number 8, this one here was a specific one, and this person was talking about they would buy their favorite foods, go to their favorite secluded spot, the countryside, and listen to music before they die. Number 9, another lengthy one here, would be that I'd talk to everyone that made a difference in my life. I wouldn't tell them I was dying. I'd just ask them how they were doing and make the conversation about them. I'd give my money to charity, and I'd probably give as much money to the poor as I could. And then that was his whole thing. And after that, he'd go to a private spot and watch the sun go down. I'm assuming it's a he. I'm not for sure. It might be a woman. I just said that. And number 10 was, I would sit down and listen to my favorite music or watch my favorite videos for the last time. And those were the 10... either the ones I really enjoyed, or the 10 most common things people would do if they had 24 hours to live. And I really thought through all of these while thinking of what I was going to do. A large part of me wants to say I would go on the rampage. I'd like to say I would do that bank robbery I'd always been planning and thinking of with some of my friends. We'd kidnap an Amish person, kill him and put him in a car and have it standing by. We'd blow up a convenience store across town from where the bank is. Not a big explosion, but in a little abandoned building, we'd blow it up. All the cops from town would go to this convenience store. We would then go into the bank. We would then start driving. We would go to the car that we have stored, and we would put a whole bunch with the car we had stored with the dead Amish guy in it. We'd put we'd put quite a bit of money in the car with him, and then we'd light the car on fire, allowing some money to like blow around it and everything else. That way, the cops would be thrown off the trail. And I would do that. I'd steal a fast car. I'd give the cops a nice chase around town. I'd do some of this stuff. But really, no matter how much I'd want to do it, I'd like to do it, I just know I wouldn't. Because if I really had 24 hours to live, there would be other things I would rather do first before I die. So with my list, and I've really thought this through because I am doing this video, first off, I'd call up everyone in my family on my last day. I would have a conversation with them about school, what I'm doing, talk about them, but I wouldn't tell them what was going to happen to me. Then I would send a message to every one of my close friends throughout high school and those that I'm starting to have in college, and I would tell them how much I enjoyed having them as a friend and talk about some of my favorite moments with them. Then I would go and do what I am now. I would sit down in front of my microphone. Firstly, and you can say this is cheesy or anything like that, but I'd sit down and I'd do a final commentary. It would be a face cam, and I would tell you guys that this was the end for me, and I'd post the video as soon as I could. And then I would sit down as well and record separate messages for my family and my friends. The ones that are really closest to me, I would leave a goodbye message. I would talk to them in a video. For this message, I'd sit in front of my camera and specifically talk to whoever the message is for. I'd have a message, obviously, for my parents, grandparents, my brother, some of my closest friends, and I would say everything I wanted to say to them. I would do this to give both myself and them, more closure. It would be a last goodbye. And now, after all this, I'm probably 10 or so hours, maybe 12, 13 hours into my 24-hour period. And I would do what quite a few other people said. I'd buy some of my favorite foods, come home and sit down in front of my stereo and listen to some classical, sad, soppy music. I think that's the word you'd use with that. You say what you want, but it'd be Bach, Beethoven, and classical music with violins, organs, and pianos. Because if you're going to die, you don't want to go out dying listening to Queen or Aerosmith. You want to have it have some meaning to it. And I know it sounds sad and weak, but that's what I would do. I would do these things because I would want to have some enjoyment in my final moments. Then, a few hours before I would go, I would call up my parents, my brother, my grandma that lives in town, and I would bring them all to the living room, and I would talk to them, and I'd tell them what's going on. I told them that I was going to die. I'd have to explain it to them. I would give them each a copy of their video message that I had burned onto the DVDs, and I would give them instructions on who to give the other messages to. And after the time has passed, I would go into my bedroom, lay down on the bed, get under the covers, and wait for the end to come. And I know it sounds sad. I know it sounds mopey and everything else, and kind of weak, a little, not pathetic, I wouldn't say pathetic. But I would do these things because I would want to have everyone in my family and all of my friends really know how much I cared for them, whether I shown it or not. Now, when I started developing what my last day would be like, because this is Final Thought Friday, it had to have some real meaning to it, I kind of came to a conclusion. If everyone lived their life like it was the last day on Earth, then the Earth would be a better place. But then I really thought, what about the people that said they would kill people, rob banks, rape and pillage the countryside? So I thought, maybe it wouldn't be good if people just screamed out YOLO and did whatever their mind and wildest whim decided. As dark as it sounds, and as truly as sad of an event it is, death is truly it's glorious in some ways. You never know when it's going to happen. You might not wake up tomorrow, or you might live to be 100 years old. Death is truly contradictory. Death is one of the things in the world that we know is going to happen without a doubt, but when it happens, we don't see it coming. And that's just how it works. When you die, you die. When you live, you live. And the whole thing is, your last 24 hours doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do in your final 24 hours in life, because instead, it matters what you did the rest of your life. Because when death comes to take you, death doesn't take you from the past 24 hours. It takes you from your entire life. But I want to know, what would you guys do? Right now, look at your clock. 24 hours from now, you are going to drop dead. What would you do in these 24 hours? And guys, that is it for me. My name is TheGameWarrior. Be sure you have a very good day, because it just might be your last. Thank you for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe.